Greetings and salutations, viewers and listeners. Welcome to episode 99 of Word Ninjas Live, the last Word Ninjas episode in the double digits.
Woo!
I am your host and instigator of creative productivity this week, because we've been busy, Charles. And joining me tonight is... Come on, click on it. Click on it. Change over. Okay. Will.
Hello. Despite
And
Google shenanigans, I am here.
it wasn't being responsive for some reason. And our other hosts are taking the scenic route to get here, so they will join us eventually. But hey, it's 7:30. It's time to do a show, or at least a live show, depending on when you're listening to this. So let's get things rolling, because we have a talking point for this week. And the talking point is, what's the psychology and literary value behind colors in literature? With a follow-up question of, what is your favorite color and why? Which I completely forgot was a follow-up question until I just reread this. I know for at least like book covers and artwork within literature, there's a lot of psychology and societal, cultural implications of the color schemes that you use, or how you try to balance out the cover for the various meanings within the storyline, so you try and make some relevance to it and all that. We've tossed in a half dozen links to various color breakdowns of what does this color mean, how is it perceived in society, and actually some interesting lists of the best book covers and just seeing what sort of color schemes they have, which was actually very interesting to research. Although the best book covers lists tended to be a little anticlimactic for colors, at least, because they're either like white or they're monochromatic. Like it's just one color. I feel like if you're gonna play with colors, that you should have a blend of a few, or unless you're really focusing on one color for some specific reason.
I forget which way it is, but I think the eye is really drawn to white. But black is actually easier on the eye. Something like that. I'm
Well,
not a colorologist.
yeah. I know at least text-wise, a dark background with a light color text tends to be easier on the eyes. That's
I
why.
actually recently heard that, what color was it? It was like a mint green background with black text is actually really easy on the eyes as opposed to white.
Hmm.
It makes it easier, like if you're staring at text documents for a long period of time using that really soft, I think it was mint green. I'd have to double check.
I just know that Microsoft Word has the option to do a black background and white text when you're doing documents.
That is supposed to be easier on the eyes as opposed to white on white background with black text.
Yeah,
for computers.
Even a lot of terminal programs are still reset back to black background with like a light green text. Lime green was pretty popular in the early 90s, but I think even that the contrast was a little high.
How about the Fallout series green for all of their computer terminals?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a little faded.
Well,
dirty green, but yeah.
Post-nuclear apocalypse and all.
Right.
I made my Pip-Boy blue.
I forgot you could do that.
I didn't know you could do that.
In the options, you can change the color of the Pip-Boy and the color of the HUD.
Oops. Today I learned.
But not the color of the computer screens, I don't think. I think those are just the generic old school green on black MS-DOS looking fun times.
So I've only got a few minutes on the podcast. Sorry about that, readers or listeners. Listeners. I don't think we transcribe every episode yet, right?
You mean you haven't gotten on that yet?
I did the first sentence in the first episode.
All right, it's a start.
But over the last week, CJ and I have been working days and nights getting the audiobook and the ebook all fixed up and set up. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I saw CJ's final put together on the PDF. The font choices are great. Everything is really nice and bold and easily readable. It's got all the worksheets in it. It's actually a really cool set. I may have to buy one for myself, even though I technically get one for free.
Yeah, we'll give you a good discount.
Doesn't hurt. But yeah, look forward to picking it up, hopefully at Kineticon.
Yep, and we're working on setting that up on the Etsy store as well. So if you can't make it to Kineticon, it'll be available for digital download.
Yes, definitely pick it up. Audiobook is really good too. Had to listen to that. Everything's good.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that a third of that is your voice.
I mean, I do like hearing the sound of my own voice. That's why I came on just for these couple minutes, so I could hear myself talk.
Do you have any parting comments to toss in for the talkie point at all before you have to run away?
No, but I will say that I'm super duper excited and nervous for Kineticon proper. This will be my first Kineticon, which is pretty much the biggest con of the year that we go to.
Yep.
I think. So I've had some con practice. I've had Book Expo America practice, but it's going to be a little different this time around. So hopefully I can do my due diligence and help you guys out as much as I can. CJ and I are Team B, from what I understand, for booth duty. So come check us out periodically, and you may see different members of the group.
Yep. Well, glad you could make it at least for a few minutes before you had to run off.
Yep. I will be at all 3 days of the show, and I did get confirmation that the ticket went through.
Hooray!
I have a QR code now. So I'm definitely all in, and I will see you, CJ, tomorrow.
Yep,
and everybody, presumably, eventually.
Yep.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Later.
Bye.
And then we were two.
Till Calvin shows up.
Yes.
So, I don't know much about colors, so I'm going to have to definitely do like a lot of research on this for, learning more of the meanings behind all these colors. I know, and I use this for myself with writing, purple is considered a royal color.
Mm-hmm.
No, shut up, advertisement. Which is probably in some of these where it's purple is a royal color and whatnot. And I know why it's a royal color because back in the olden times, purple was the most complicated and difficult dye to create because I think red and blue were the tough ones to get pure, and then you had to mix them together properly to get purple.
Mm.
So, and that's why like greens and browns are more peasant colors because those are easy to make, and reds and blues and whatnot were more difficult. And I definitely use that because one of my characters fancies herself to be like a modern day pharaoh. So she's all about the purple. The only other thing I remember, and I guess it fits in with color, it's the difference between light and dark, which is, or the symbolism behind light and dark, which, I mean, light is where you have color and dark is when you don't have color.
True.
And again, all this stuff is on a book-by-book basis. since like even through
Yeah.
these different websites that we have provided here, some of them say different things for different colors,
Yeah,
depending on who you ask.
the first three links have different definitions and breakdowns of some of the colors and the different shades, and they don't necessarily contradict each other, but they don't all synchronize with each other.
Yeah.
So it's
None of them
really
say like this means one thing and then the other one says it's the opposite. It's just this is
your mileage may vary.
yeah. Red means this, another side will be red means this, and it's completely unrelated.
Yeah. And it can also factor down to the time period that you're referencing in your story in regards to the color, because different decades think of colors in different ways depending on the color and the context. Because I know historically pink and blue have had several different reasons, and they've kind of flip-flopped a few times around.
I was just about to bring up the pink blue thing.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was before World War II, it was the opposite with boys and girls. Blue was for girls and boys, pink was for boys, because blue is a soft, nurturing color and pink is a strong, bright color or something like that.
I forget their specific breakdown of why it was.
All I remember is that one department store company or clothing line company said blue is for boys, pink is for girls. This is how it should be, and all the other stores were like, "Oh, we got to jump on that," and they decided to consolidate.
Mhm.
When before it was just whatever color, pick one.
Yeah. And I've also been told that apparently in Europe, pink was primarily for boys, but in the US, it was blue. And I forget which one of my relatives kept on getting, as a baby, pink clothes, despite being a boy. So around here, it made no sense to them, but all of our family's friends were European, so what else were you going to get for a boy other than pink clothes?
It's starting to change a bit considering the high number of men's shirts in pink that have been coming out the past decade or so.
I'm not the biggest fan of wearing pink personally, but that's because I prefer particular other colors to wear.
Pink's too bright for me.
I'm more of a red person, or preferably a burgundy.
Red is good. Green is good. I like green shirts. With the pale skin, you need dark colors.
Yeah.
Bright colors like pink and yellow and white just don't work for me.
But that's also something to keep in mind for your stories and characters. What is their complexion? How do different colors work on them? Just like with normal people, something to factor in.
It's one of the reasons why I have Maxine never wears black. She's a skunk. She's already pretty black. Of course, the other reason is Saturn causes feels.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But yes, one of the primary reasons she avoids black and white is because she is black and white, and that's boring, and she likes colors because they pop. And for the second part, my favorite color is blue because reasons. I don't know, because it is. Though I've been growing fond of certain darker shades of purple, which is fine because I'm blue-purple colorblind anyway, so I always get them screwed up.
All I remember is it used to be magenta because I used to have a set of Marvy markers back in elementary school, and I thought that was the coolest color name ever. But eventually I shifted over to burgundy just because I kind of like the darker shade.
And it's a cooler name.
I don't know. Magenta's still pretty cool.
It's no puce or mauve.
Well, mauve is just dangerous. Now, going through all of these book covers, there's a lot of them that just primarily utilize white. to make it kind of a minimalized cover.
Like I said, white also catches the eye.
Especially if you do a little bit of color on something so it kind of pops. Even just black and white. So they're interesting links to just peruse and look through when you have the time, and if you're curious about some of the various meanings behind the colors. And it is kind of funny how we have 3 different links just detailing the colors, and none of them really synchronize with each other.
We have a book somewhere here at home that's all about the meaning behind colors and whatnot. It's in one of these boxes somewhere now. I forgot we had it until I was taking all of the books off the bookshelf and putting them in boxes. I'm like, oh, look, we have cool books like this. I forgot.
So it's an interesting thing to keep in mind when you're working on your stories, either for descriptions or character, clothing, or book covers, all that good stuff. And once Calvin joins us, maybe we can get him to loop back in on this, just get his perspective on it. But in the meantime, let's keep things rolling with highlights.
Yay.
All right, so first get rid of all the color stuff so that I don't get too distracted by all those shiny baubles. That one, that one, that one, that one. I didn't open up the other one. That's why I'm out of sync. Okay. Now I have them all open. And now screen share is going to play nice because I demand it. And I'm going to wait on screen share because just as I'm about to go to a new segment, hey, our other co-host appears.
Hi.
A wild Kelvin appears.
Yay.
Got here as soon as I could.
No worries. We were just wrapping up the talkie point for this week. Would you have anything to add or toss in for that one by any chance?
Just a minute. Let's see. Favorite colors in literary psychology and literary value behind colors in literature. Well, let's start off with my favorite color. I don't have a favorite color. I have many favorite colors.
Is it plaid?
How did you know?
Because we lived together for 3 years.
Well, besides plaid, I am very partial to many shades of blue and green, as I've come to realize. I think green because nature and my growing appreciation for nature, especially after moving to Connecticut for several years. Like, I never knew that air could smell not like car exhaust.
Well, depending on where in Connecticut, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like, besides green, like, I've always had an affinity for blue. I don't know why. Just blue. And I seem to be surrounded by blue. I just happen to have this blue candle sitting on my table. This blue pen. Oh, hey, my mic happens to be blue too. Coincidence?
Maybe.
Made by blue.
What's that?
My mic was made by blue.
Yeah, close enough. But there's no real rhyme or reason behind my color of choice. I just happen to like it, and there seems to be a lot of it all around, especially in nature and when you look outside on a clear day.
which has been somewhat rare, at least over here lately.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been kind of dreary everywhere I've gone in the past week. But I wish I had more of an answer, a longer answer to that, but blue and lots of it. If I could find a nice steampunk, blue steampunk outfit, I'd probably have one.
So
Oh
they go
well.
towards slate.
Slate might be able to get away with Slate. Just nothing too like gaudy and obnoxious. Like, oops, don't do that. Yeah, there are various shades of blue that can be incredibly obnoxious. I remember uh, back when I was much younger, I, for whatever reason, had like a suit that was like the brightest blue you can possibly find outside of nature. It's this unnatural shade of blue, but I looked very nice in it, and I'm sorry I outgrew it. But then again, that was about 20 years ago, so it was bound to happen. Would I ever bother to get another suit that obnoxious color? Only if you paid me.
Maybe for a skit someday.
Hmm.
But then we'd all have to get obnoxious colored suits.
What obnoxious color would you get for your suit?
It would probably have to be some stupid shade of yellow, because then it would be obnoxious to me.
Baby barf yellow green.
That would be pretty obnoxious.
That would just be offensive to many senses. How about you, Will?
Purple, but one of those like out of like a really reflective material. So it's like glowing purple, and it's just like no, my vision. Oh hey, it's raining again.
I got lucky. I just missed the rain.
I vote that we give Ed a glow in the dark suit, so it'll only be subtly irritating.
If you want to give him a suit that'll irritate him, make it pink or any pastel color ever.
Oh man, a hot pink suit for Ed. If uh, if I ever have a death wish, I will do myself a favor and buy that hot pink suit for Ed. Just out of curiosity, what prompted this talkie point?
It was the last talkie point in the queue.
That works.
And I think it was really meant to be a follow up to last week's talkie point on book covers and all that.
Hmm. It's trying to understand, excuse me, understand how different colors evoke moods and whatnots.
Yeah, and how to take advantage of them when you're writing or working on a book cover or trying to convey some sense of imagery or concept in your creative endeavors.
Okay. Unfortunately, that's the only 2 cents I really have on that subject there. I like
Yeah.
blue.
I'm still going to stick with my burgundy.
You do wear burgundy very well.
And I much prefer it as a color than as a drink.
Wait, wasn't the last burgundy drink the SCP wine?
That might explain things. It might have originally been burgundy before I swirled it. Then it just became death.
No, thank you.
Death and sadness.
Definitely sadness. I think I need to go back and watch that video again just to see how we reacted to that.
Badly.
It was an absolute classic.
Who knows what we're going to get for this convention. Just hopefully not more of that stuff.
Oh, not if I have anything to do with it.
Well, before we get to convention shenanigans, let's migrate to highlights reel.
Da 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 da.
Alright. And screen share is supposed to share. Yay! Alright. This week we have another interesting article from over on the Mary Sue. They always seem to find some interesting stuff to talk about story-wise or character-wise. This one was a really fascinating breakdown of Over the Garden Wall, and kind of a breakdown of the character and a lot of the concepts within it. I haven't seen the show, but I am really curious now, mainly considering how they explain it and kind of explain how it takes aspects from a lot of shows that I used to watch as a kid and really enjoyed, and kind of did its own little twist on it. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the article because, for one, it really is in detail. It goes on for a good while and gives you all sorts of examples and breakdowns, and nightmare fuel, because that is a really freaky picture, and I still have no context for why that is a thing. But if you're familiar with this show or have been curious about this show, it's definitely an interesting article to read because this show looks like it's a lot of fun and really creates a lot of character depth and character growth for that matter, which is thankfully not as rare as it used to be in shows, but it's still something to appreciate when it's actually a thing out there. And I'm also kind of curious as to why it looks like there's a pumpkin with pasta noodles for a body. Considering apparently this is a somewhat disturbing show that may even put Courage the Cowardly Dog, or give that a run for its money. And that was a sometimes rather disturbing show. So, right up my alley.
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna have to watch now.
I've also had a lot of friends tell me that this would be a show that I'd really appreciate, so it is on my list. My never-ending list of media to consume.
Do you
But
think
yeah,
do you think this would be a show that we could do a review about?
uh, depending on how we can track it down, I haven't really dug too deep as to where it's being shown other than Cartoon Network. But yeah, we can sort that out. That would be fun.
I'll see if it's on Hulu.
I always forget about
Yeah.
Hulu and whatnot.
We'll see.
All right, next up, just a
It is
somewhat
on Hulu,
nice.
just for, or at least the first 10 episodes of season 1 are. I don't know how much of the show there is. Cartoon
Okay.
Network did allow a lot of their shows to finally get out on like Hulu and Netflix. They'd been holding on to them for a while, but a little while ago, there was suddenly an explosion of all these cartoons that were not available anywhere but on the networks, suddenly available online.
Cool. So we're definitely gonna have to track that down and at least check out the first 10 episodes, see what it's like. All right, next piece is just a amusing little infographic that I tracked down. Not quite sure how many of these will actually make you smarter, but I do agree with some of them, like read a chapter in a book, or maybe perhaps read a whole book, if time allows. Applying what you learn is kind of necessary nowadays in life just to continue going forward in your various endeavors. I know I've done that a lot lately with all this stuff I've been doing for Illustrator and InDesign. 10 and 11 I do not do, but I think that would actually be an interesting activity. I mean, I do checklists, and yeah, I check off stuff I did, but I never actually write a list of things I've already done. That would be an interesting exercise to kind of show just how much you've accomplished at any given time, or a list of things that you really should just stop doing, either habits or vices you want to break, or just stuff that isn't working at the moment that you should give a rest, maybe try again later. I would also agree with 14 to a degree. I've had some really bad online courses in college because it's a lot harder to argue with people or argue with teachers if you can't do it in person or if you just do it back and forth via email. But there's a lot of free courses out there, so there's a lot of free content to learn from. And there's always an infinite amount of stuff to learn. And I know we do 19 often enough, just in crew shenanigans, if nothing else. Not to mention, a few weeks ago we were talking about getting out of our comfort zones to be able to accomplish things. Going out of your comfort zone is, in essence, doing something scary. So it does come in. It comes into play if you want to push yourself forward in various endeavors. And I definitely agree with number 2. Set aside time to do nothing. You need downtime every once in a while. I say as I never do this myself. I am a complete hypocrite on that one.
Does sleep count as downtime?
I hope so, because otherwise I really don't do this one. And even then, it's pretty minimal.
Yeah, I have no idea how my metabolism still works due to all the sleep that I don't get.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of these necessarily make you smarter, but they definitely, I feel, help just in life.
Some of them look like they're ways to make you look smarter than actually be smarter.
Sometimes faking it until you make it
Will
can.
end you up on antidepressants.
Well, yeah, there is that.
I'm just curious about number 3.
You've never played the devil's advocate before.
That is my life. I am incapable of not playing the devil's advocate. I always see both sides of everything. It's frustrating. Because I can't argue for anything, because like if I pick a side on something, I'll start arguing it. And then as I think of it, I'm like, but then again, the other side's also right because... And then I don't get anywhere.
Yeah, arguments are rarely so polarized that there's only one clear way of thinking about it or arguing it. If there was, then there probably wouldn't be an argument in the first place.
Mm.
Next one up is an interesting list, but a little bit out of my depth, so I can't really speak too much towards the validity of this list. But 35 books every designer should read.
This is relevant to my interests.
Now, I know because this is on Fast Company, it's primarily targeted towards business design and a lot of that world, but just in general, for those who are artistic or working on creative endeavors, it's an interesting list just to see what they consider to be important books out there to be familiar with. And there's a lot of architect and design type stuff in there, because a lot of artistic stuff is based off of basic geometry and architecture. So it's good to understand the core basics underneath all of it, so that you can understand when and how and why to break all of those rules, or at least bend them. Oh, and looks like it's split up by schools, or universities really. So like Savannah College of Art and Design, Parsons, the Pratt Institute. Sorry, you were going to say something?
The moment passed. I forgot.
Sorry.
That's okay. Oh. I found a
Yeah.
book that I need to read.
Which one?
Thoughts on Design by Paul Rand.
Yeah, it's an interesting list. Definitely worth perusing at the least. You don't necessarily have to read all 35 books, or even any of them, but if you're interested in design, definitely peruse the list. At least to see which ones they recommend or claim are worth delving into. Type and Image, the Language of Graphic Design paperback. Interesting. My problem is I do not need more books.
I don't need any more books either, but the Thoughts on Design book is something I'm going to have to read as a graphic designer.
I'm kind of intrigued by Thinking with Type. Master typographic layouts with this instructional book filled with do's and don'ts.
I know I've seen this book before, and I know I've wanted it. I never got around to getting it. Now might be a good time to get it.
Well, this one is just good all around. The Creative Habit. Learn it and use it for life. Choreographer and creative Twyla Tharp explains how to develop and hone creativity. Well, we could all use that. So yeah, definitely an interesting list. And the last news piece for this week. An interesting follow-up from last week's talking point. Yes, we really do judge books by their covers. I just thought it was interesting that a week after we talk about that, there was an article discussing how we really do judge books by their covers, and kind of delving in a little bit as to why. And I thought it really boiled down to our brains are wired to process images faster than words, which is why book covers eventually became a thing. It is kind of a lot easier to convey complex concepts in imagery rather than just a 5 or 6 word title, or less sometimes. Sometimes it's even just one word in the title. But if you have a book cover, you have a little more to work off of and get an idea of just what the book is about. And I guess it ties into the whole concept of a picture is worth 1,000 words, or something like that. So definitely an article worth perusing, especially if you have commentary from last week's episode. And it also gives you the best indie covers, because why not? Not quite sure what makes them the best indie covers as compared to what else, considering that Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is one of them, and I guess maybe at the time it was somewhat indie.
I mean, when the book first came out, no one heard of Harry Potter. And maybe indies because the artists were new, or small-time artists for all these books, or designers, whatever the appropriate word is.
Yeah, they don't really give enough to work off of to explain what this 10-book cover list is, or what the how they chose them. But yeah, it was an interesting article to read through. Definitely worth perusing if you have the time. And to round out all of the book cover stuff and talk and discussions and arguments, apparently there's actually a book cover archive website, which I was not aware of until today. And it actually has 1,351 book covers currently, which is far from exhaustive, but still a pretty good, diverse breakdown of various book covers. Fun website to randomly peruse.
Yeah, things is kind of freaked out just now.
Oh, hi. That was weird.
All I heard was a ding, and I looked back and it said someone joined back in.
It looked like for a brief moment we all got disconnected from the server.
Yeah.
Well, theoretically, we're still live and still broadcasting, so says my screen. Unfortunately, I don't know how much was cut out, if any, from my end, until we end the recording and go back and see it in post. So depending on how much you all just did or did not miss, we apologize for the technical shenanigans. But all of the highlight links are in the show notes, so if you want to check any of them out, that's the best place to track them down. fcwriters.com under the Word Ninjas live section for episode 99. Oh, and it even took me off of screen share. Okay, well, that saves me time. All right, then onwards to the Productivity and Inspiration Station. I have been learning a lot in Illustrator, and I am happy about this because I've been meaning to learn Illustrator. It's been on my list of things to do for probably a decade now. I mean, I've poked at it half-heartedly here and there across the last few years, but within the last month, I think I've learned more than I have in those 10 years. So I'm really happy with how some of these story cards are coming together and just how much I'm learning as to how a lot of that layering and customizing works so that we can create some very interesting story cards in the future.
Isn't it fun?
Surprisingly so.
It's frustrating at times, but it is definitely a lot of fun. Especially,
Yeah,
especially like I'm not sure how deep you've gotten into Illustrator, but like once you start getting into live painting and being able to like really, really manipulate gradients and things, gradients and colors, it gets a lot of fun.
I haven't gotten to the live painting level yet, but I've figured out great how to actually tweak the gradients to what I want, which makes me really happy because that was one thing that always drove me nuts. But it's been fun going on Tuts Plus and trying out their tutorials because some of them are better detailed than others, and some are for different versions of Illustrator than what I have. So sometimes there's a lot of guesswork or just adapting to what they think I should be doing when I can't, and then just doing my own style on it because I don't have to follow them specifically or exactly.
That's half the fun right there.
Yeah, but I know a couple of the ones that of the story cards we used last week, I was really happy with, and I thought they came out rather nice. And I had a blast putting them together, even though it was last minute. But now that I'm figuring out a lot more of the shortcuts and just how to go about creating certain bits and pieces, I feel like that process is going to become a little more streamlined in the future. I'm not going to need to find a tutorial for every single concept. I can actually just, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how you go about it. It'll take me a little while, but it'll get done. Yay, learning! And Justin already alluded to this, but the Word Ninja Writers Kit is a thing. We had concerns last week, and those concerns have been addressed. We worked non-stop Friday and over the weekend to make sure that it is to the quality that we want it to be. And we are 99.2.5% there. We just need to do one final pass through to make sure that everything is the way it needs to be, and then we can package it up, and it'll be good to go for Kineticon.
Woohoo!
Speaking of Kineticon, there's a lot of preparation and just general flailing around in circles that still needs to be done, even though we've been doing that for several weeks now.
Now it's just crunch time.
Yeah. But we got the last few bits and pieces in the mail today, so now it's just packaging it all together, making sure it fits in my car, with enough space for Justin, so I don't have to tie him to the roof. And then, setting up the whole booth thing tomorrow, and
Oh, that's gonna be exciting. And as always, is gonna be another time lapse coming out of that one.
nice.
Oh, question: how did the business cards come out?
I only took a quick look at them, but the general ones came out just like the ones we already had, so
Mhm.
great.
Okay.
And mine look just the way they need to, very nice and clean.
Okay, good.
I did not open the banner, though,
Okay.
but
Well,
we have it.
all right. As long as we have it. I had a bit of a concern. I wasn't sure that I gave Next Day Flyers the correct Illustrator file for your card, so I spent the last week wondering if I had ordered uh, ordered 500 of the general cards or 750.
Uh, Good lord, that's 500 in the box. No, they definitely had my name on it, so.
Okay. It was 500 generals and 250 of yours. So as long as yours printed out, there's not there's okay, everything is as it needs to be.
Yes.
Yeah, next
And
if
conveniently, for the banner, they give us a gigantic triangular box tube that I can fit the other banner into,
oh, nice.
and a few other things, so that'll make carrying things around a little better.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, it's been a crazy busy week, but it's been a good, crazy busy week. I'm feeling really good about where we are today compared to last Wednesday.
Progress.
Yes. And how has Will fared since last week?
Well, I got back into game recording a little bit tentatively. People who pay attention to the Game Break series might notice I missed a week. So I got back in there, did more Don't Starve, and another game that hasn't come out yet. It's probably just going to be a little one-off for a buffer when we need the space. I enjoyed being able to do that because I got to play more with my new fancy editing software, Movie Studio 13 Platinum, which is so much nicer than Windows Movie Maker. So much nicer. So I'm glad to always have an excuse to play with that, and I have ideas of things I want to do to play around with that more and make content and stuff for the future. I also just today finished editing a massive over 3 hour long audio file. So how long is that exactly? Let me check real quick. It was originally 3 hours and 15 minutes. I got it down to 2 hours and 15 minutes. I took an
Not too
entire
bad.
hour out.
Not bad.
So we should be able to get at least, I'm thinking, 2 or so not suitable for word ninjas out of that. One of which will be going up later this month because it needs to. And Kineticon is right before the due date.
Yeah.
So the first roughly half of that, depending on where I can find a suitable breaking point, will be this month, and then the second half will be whenever we need another filler again.
After convention season.
Yeah, it may not be till like November or December or something like that, but whatever. It's mostly just Calvin and I screwing around in Minecraft.
Yep.
And other than that, I've still been dealing with life's lemons. Life still has some lemons to throw at me, and I'm still looking for a suitably sized tennis racket to bat them back with.
Hopefully they're not combusting as much, though.
The combusting has gone down, but they're still sour.
Lame.
It's been pretty much it for me.
And what has Calvin been up to?
Not sleeping as usual. I have been working on the AkaiCon promo for Infinity's Light, which is going to be fantastic. I've been having a lot of fun with that one, mainly because I get to use After Effects heavily for that one. After Effects is a program that I used significantly during college, like even more so than Premiere. And being able to mess around in After Effects has actually been quite therapeutic. So I'm pretty happy about that. The promo, hopefully, I can get that done latest next week, but it should be done well before then. Let's see what else. I actually did a recording in advance for once.
What?
I recorded tomorrow's Game Break video yesterday actually, because I knew I would be flailing around trying to get everything ready for tomorrow because I have to pack. I have to pack all the equipment and my clothes, which some of which need to be washed. Oh, good Lord. So thankfully, I had the foresight to record yesterday, and I recorded the last few levels in Monument Valley Forgotten Shores.
Nice.
And that was a lot of fun to play. Hopefully there may be another add-on pack for Monument Valley sometime, somewhere down the line, because that's one of the, like, honestly, one of the most fun mobile games I've ever played. Let's see, what else? What else? Oh, I rented a thing.
A thing? Is it a shiny thing?
It is a heavy, expensive thing. I rented the Canon 16 to 35 millimeter lens for this weekend.
Fancy.
This thing is heavy, and now I understand why it costs $1,100 freaking dollars. Thankfully, I found a website where I can rent it for this weekend. Actually, I rented it for the week, so I have enough wiggle room to like really get to enjoy it.
Cool. I'm sure we'll put it to good use this weekend at least.
Most definitely. Man, I'm looking forward to this. Happiness. I think that about covers everything. Just basically working on all the things, getting ready for this weekend. And actually purchase some libations for the weekend. Hopefully you guys will approve. As always, we will have reactions on camera.
Oh, yeah. And chances are we're going to be fully stocked, considering all the other stuff that's going to be brought. Especially since Reality Man is playing with us.
Ed made sure to make sure that we wouldn't be lacking noms, too.
Yay! Nothing but bananas.
Wait a second. Which one of us is allergic to bananas?
I don't think any of us.
Justin specifically requested bananas, so that's where the joke is.
Ah.
So long as it's not apples. Or cherries, apparently. Which is equally frustrating. Apparently peaches are safe, though. I'm just not a big fan of them. Oh, and Calvin. Although it's not a mobile game, I think you would have a lot of fun with a game called The Bridge.
The
Which
Bridge.
I have it on Steam, and I played around with it a little bit. It's definitely right up your alley, because there's a lot of Escher-style geometry and puzzles and weirdness.
Okay. Yeah, the whole Escher aspect of Monument Valley began to confuse me in this last episode, and you'll begin to understand why.
I can't say anything against that, because while I was watching those, I was thinking, no, Calvin, you got to do that one thing right there. You can, no. And then 5 minutes later, come on, it's right there. And then you do something different, and it works. And I never saw that. Wait, how does that work? But
Yeah, those puzzles were very confusing. It took me quite a while to sit there watching and going, how do you, oh, and the other
Yeah.
time going, wait, how did he, what?
I'm letting you guys know right now, the confusion hits its apex in this last episode.
oh dear.
All while Drinky laughs at you.
Freaking bird, man. A literal
You-
bird, man.
Hmm. Meanwhile, I've been balancing that out with my Far Sky playthrough. That's been a lot of fun. Although the Kraken is not quite what I expected.
I need to find some time to sit and watch that one.
I'm
I got-
hoping to do episode 3 soon, where I shall fight the Kraken.
It's definitely worth a watch. I've been enjoying it.
Yep, I will check that one out. I'll see what tonight holds for me.
Excuse me. In the meantime, hey, let's talk events, since one of them is tomorrow.
Dun, dun, dun.
Kineticon 2015.
Woo!
Technically does kick off tomorrow, because they do have some events tomorrow night, which I'm probably going to be too exhausted and antisocial to take part in. But we'll at least be able to get over there, get our booth set up, get our press kit materials so we know just what's happening when. We can put together a game plan. The entire crew is there all weekend until Sunday. So if you're in the Connecticut area, stop on by, say hello, get some of the shiny baubles. Or just talk to us. We'll be on booth duty all 3 days. And press duty all 3 days. So we're going to be getting to all the press junkets and maybe some of the Q&A sessions if we can swing that. Maybe some of the panels. There's a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
And just to give you all an idea, their literary guests, pretty fun. I mean, they got Jack Campbell, Mark Hodder, James Owen, Dave Butler, Peter Wax, Dan Wells, and even Amber Benson, who I did not realize was an author. I thought she was just an actress, primarily from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but no, she writes. For Random House, no less. That would be a fun interview. Not to mention like the 30 other guests that they have there this weekend. So it's going to be fun times for all. And then next month is a KaiCon at the beginning of the month. Calvin and I get to go play with OTP Manga. And at the end of the month, we get to go to Massachusetts for Inconceivable and play with all the fun people up there. That was a fun little con for last year as a first-year convention. So I'm really curious to see how they kick things up a notch or 3 for year 2.
I'm looking forward to that one.
And then rounding out our convention year is Hartford Comic Con in September. That's the first time round for us attending Hartford Comic Con, so that's going to be fun. And with that, hey, that's a show. That's all we got. Nothing more until next week. But if we have entertained you in any way, shape, or form over the last hour, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can watch our entire backlog of 2 years' worth of Word Ninjas live. You can check out the Game Break series, where we're playing all sorts of fun video games and flailing around. You can check out our Muse Food segment, which is on Saturdays, where we do all sorts of fun story prompts. And, of course, all of the event stuff that we're doing, we're getting interviews, we're getting press junket stuff, we're getting just crew shenanigans. All of those recordings are going to be up on the channel. So if you subscribe, you'll be able to easily find them and watch them and enjoy. And if you want to talk to us via social media, we're over on Twitter at FCWordNinja. And we use the hashtag WordNinjas to keep track of that. We're also over on Tumblr, fcwordninja.tumblr.com, and Facebook, facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. Talk to us, converse with us, ask us questions that you want us to have on the show, or conventions and stuff that we should keep an eye on, or just news highlights that you want us to look into and discuss. And if you want to buy our shiny baubles, at the moment, conventions are the best way to go about it. We're still playing around a bit with our Etsy store, as logistics are a little funky this month. But if you want to check that stuff out, it would be over on etsy.com/shop/fullcoveragewriters. If you want to track me down, conventions are still your best bet lately, but I still poke at my personal Tumblr, fancypantswolf.tumblr.com, and I'm going to try to be on the Fairy Tale podcast at least once or twice before a KaiCon, so people still remember that I'm a member. I'm really going to push for that. Might try to do this coming week because I have that day off, so I'll be able to rest and recuperate. Hey, where can people track down Will?
You can usually find me on my Tumblr page at darkhom.tumblr.com. That's darkhom.tumblr.com. It's my personal blog, so it's almost pretty much always up and open and available. If you're looking for information on my story series, you can check out my roommatestripper.tumblr.com or head over to darkhom.sofurry.com. Or you can support me on my Patreon at patreon.com/darkhom.
And where can people find Calvin?
Instagram, basically.
Which is?
Fine. You can find me at CCWII on Instagram. And you'll probably find me running around like a chicken with its head cut off at Kineticon this weekend, trying to take all the pictures and all the video.
Sounds about right. And I'll be right behind you, since I also have the press badge. Yay! All right, everyone. That is a show. Thank you all for joining us for episode 99 of Word Ninjas Live. Next week, we'll hit the triple digits.
Gasp.
And we'll be able to give you a full breakdown on all of the Kineticon shenanigans that will ensue in the next several days. So until then, thank you all for joining us. Check out all of the other stuff that we've been doing while you wait for next week's episode, and have a wonderful evening, everyone.